David had always assumed the strange noises in his airshaft were from a bird's nest. The continuous rustling and occasional flutters suggested something common, or so he thought. Armed with a flashlight and brimming curiosity, he decided to investigate the source of the disturbance. Little did he know, this was the beginning of a revelation that would shake him to the core. Every morning and evening, the same sounds echoed through David's airshaft. The first time he had heard it, he had just thought it to be a bird settling in its nest. But as the noise continued day after day and he hadn't seen a bird outside once, he began to doubt his initial thought. But what else could it be? At one point, David had enough. He was listening to the evening radio while cooking his dinner when he suddenly heard the rustling sounds again. He immediately turned the music down and listened carefully. He almost held his breath, so silent was he. He stared at the airshaft for minutes until he finally heard the sound again. "Gotcha," he said as he walked over to the spot where the noise had come from. He was certain this was the right spot, which was a bit strange, as it wasn't close to the side of his house. So, if a bird really had built a nest in there, it had to have walked a few meters inside. Confused and intrigued, David decided to walk around his house to find the entrance to the airshaft. Maybe that would clear some things up. He put on his shoes, still hearing the sounds coming from the airshaft. As he stood outside his house, he quickly walked to where his kitchen was, as that was where he had heard the noises. But when he arrived, he realized the entrance to the airshaft wasn't even there. How is that possible, he thought. He could have sworn the sound had come from the kitchen. David was getting more and more confused by the minute. He slowly began to walk around his house and quickly found the entrance to the airshaft, but it only raised more questions than answers. You see, the entrance was at the very front of his house, meters away from where he had heard the sounds. So, the possibility of it being a bird was getting smaller by the minute. David literally scratched his head as he looked at the airshaft. There used to be a little roster to keep the animals out, but that was now covered in dried grass and some kind of fluffy material. It actually really looked like a nest now that he looked at it more, but it couldn't be, could it? David knew he had to investigate more. He quickly went back to his kitchen to get a garbage bag and some gloves. He had to clear away the grass and fluffy material, but didn't want to touch it, of course. As he arrived back in his kitchen, David immediately began to couch. "Shit!" he yelled as he ran to his oven. He had left it on while going outside and burned his lasagna. David sighed as he placed the black lasagna on his counter. He really didn't have time for this. He had to act fast now that the noises were still going strong. So he resumed looking for a trash bag and gloves and quickly went back outside. He placed the bag on the ground and put his bright yellow gloves on. "Now, let's get to work." He began to grab clumps of the strange fluffy material and stuffed it in his trash bag. He expected to be done with it rather soon, as there had to be a roster underneath preventing the strange material from going further into the airshaft. But as the trash bag filled more and more, he realized the roster wasn't there anymore. It had been removed. Who could have done that? He was sure he wasn't the one. Knowing he couldn't stop until everything was removed from the airshaft, David kept going. He filled almost the whole trash bag and even had to get a big spoon from his kitchen to reach deeper into the airshaft. But even after that, there was still stuff inside that he couldn't reach. David knew he couldn't do this on his own. He had to call someone, but who? He couldn't call the fire department as this was not an emergency. But a plumber was also not the right person for this situation. Then he suddenly thought of something. Maybe the company that installed his airshaft could help him. He quickly looked up the company name and called them. David called the company, full of confidence they would be the ones to help him, but they told him to try somewhere else. They told him it wasn't their job to deal with strange sounds coming from the airshafts. "Try animal control," they said, and they hung up the phone. David sighed. He wanted to be angry, but that actually was a really good idea. David quickly looked up the number online and called Animal Control. It didn't take them long to pick up the phone. This time, they told him he had called the right place. But it still didn't go smoothly. You see, it was fall, and during fall, it was crazy busy at animal control. Many people called them daily about bird nests needing to be removed or squirrel nuisance. They told David they could be at his home in about 2 hours. David told them that was fine, but deep down, he knew it wasn't. He wasn't going to wait that long. The noises were at an all-time high right now, so he had to act fast. He quickly wrapped up the conversation, gave them his address, and got to thinking. In his garage, David gathered the necessary tools: a sturdy ladder, a screwdriver, pliers, and a powerful flashlight. His determination to uncover the source of the mysterious noises was palpable. He moved with purpose, collecting each item, his mind focused on the task ahead. The noises from the airshaft echoed in his thoughts, fueling his resolve to investigate the disturbance on his own. David knew safety was paramount. He pulled on a pair of heavy-duty gloves to protect his hands and strapped on a dust mask to shield his lungs from potential hazards. Checking the flashlight's batteries, he ensured it was functioning perfectly. His preparations were methodical and thorough, leaving nothing to chance as he readied himself to delve into the unknown confines of the airshaft. He rummaged through his toolbox, selecting tools he thought would aid his exploration. A compact crowbar to remove any obstructions, a set of wrenches for loosening fixtures, and a sturdy rope in case he needed to secure his way. Each tool was chosen with the tight spaces of the airshaft in mind, anticipating the physical challenges that lay ahead in his quest for answers. Before setting out, David paused for a final check. He inspected his makeshift harness, ensuring it was secure and would hold his weight. He tested the beam of his flashlight again, sweeping it across the dark corners of his garage. Satisfied that he was as prepared as he could be, he took a deep breath, mentally bracing himself for the unknown challenges of the airshaft. Standing before the airshaft, David felt a mix of apprehension and adrenaline. He shone his flashlight into the dark opening, its beam cutting through the gloom. With a deep breath to steady his nerves, he placed a foot on the first rung of his ladder. This was it. He was about to delve into the hidden depths of his home, ready to face whatever secrets lay within. David, with a mix of excitement and trepidation, began his entry attempt. He carefully removed a section of the wall adjacent to the airshaft, revealing the narrow passage hidden behind. The removed plaster and bricks piled at his feet, a testament to the effort required to breach this barrier. He peered into the shaft, its depth and darkness now exposed, ready to unveil its secrets. As David maneuvered into the airshaft, he quickly realized the challenge of its confining space. The shaft was much narrower than he had anticipated, its walls closing in around him, creating a claustrophobic atmosphere. He squeezed through the tight passage, his movements restricted, the closeness of the space testing his resolve and making him acutely aware of the daunting task ahead. Progressing further, David encountered a series of unexpected obstacles. Loose wires dangled hazardously, and patches of rusted metal jutted out from the walls. He navigated around old, forgotten maintenance tools and chunks of dislodged brickwork. Each step required careful thought and maneuvering, adding to the complexity of his exploration and hinting at the airshaft's long-neglected state. In the midst of navigating these obstacles, David suffered a minor injury. A sharp edge of metal scraped his palm, leaving a stinging cut. He paused, catching his breath, and bandaged the wound with a piece of cloth from his pocket. The incident was a stark reminder of the airshaft's hazardous conditions and the care needed to proceed safely. Despite the injury and the daunting nature of the shaft, David's determination did not waver. He pressed forward, driven by a deep need to uncover the truth behind the strange noises. Each cautious step took him deeper into the shaft, his flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. The mystery of what lay within the airshaft fueled his courage to venture further into the unknown. Deeper inside the airshaft, David stumbled upon oddities that piqued his curiosity. The walls bore peculiar scratches, not random but almost patterned, as if etched with intent. Scattered around were items that seemed bizarrely out of place: a rusty key, a faded photograph, and a small, tattered book. These findings seemed to suggest that the shaft had secrets far older and stranger than a mere animal's presence. Amid the dust and darkness, David unearthed relics of the past. Among the detritus, he found old toys, a wooden top, a doll with a missing eye, and fragments of what looked like a model airplane. There were also tools: a hammer with a worn handle, a screwdriver, and rusty nails. These items hinted that someone had used this space long ago for purposes now forgotten. The more David explored, the more the mystery deepened. The markings on the walls appeared deliberate, almost like crude drawings or symbols. They were interspersed with scratches that looked like they were made by human hands. The items he found added to the enigma, each seeming to hold a piece of a story untold, a narrative lost in the shadows of the airshaft. Each discovery seemed to add another layer to the puzzle. David felt like he was peeling back the layers of a long-kept secret, yet with every answer, new questions arose. The airshaft was proving to be more than just a neglected conduit in his home. It was a capsule of hidden histories, each artifact a cryptic clue to a deeper enigma. In his intense focus on the peculiar finds, David inadvertently disturbed a crucial part of the shaft's structure. As he reached for another curious object, his hand brushed against a support beam. With a groan, it shifted, sending a cascade of dust and small debris around him. Startled, David realized he had caused a minor structural issue, and the stability of his surroundings was now compromised. David's heart raced as he realized the danger of the compromised airshaft. He couldn't risk staying inside any longer, not with the structure's integrity in question. With quick, careful movements, he retraced his steps, navigating back through the tight, cluttered passage. The sounds of creaking and shifting debris followed him, a constant reminder of the precarious situation he was leaving behind, along with the deepening mystery. Once back in the safety of his kitchen, David paused to catch his breath. His mind raced with thoughts of what he'd found and what he'd left behind. The airshaft's contents were an enigma, and his hasty retreat left him feeling both frustrated and intrigued. The unknown history hidden within those walls was tantalizing, but the risk of further exploration weighed heavily on him. Safely out of the shaft, David pondered the oddities he had discovered. The scratches, the old toys, the tools. What story did they tell? And what about the strange noises that had led him there in the first place? These unanswered questions nagged at him, the mystery of the airshaft hanging in his mind like an unsolved riddle, urging him to find the truth. David knew he couldn't leave the mystery unresolved. He needed to find answers, but also recognized the need for caution and expertise. Mulling over his options, he considered consulting with historians, engineers, or even urban explorers. Determination set in his eyes. He was ready to delve deeper into the airshaft's secrets, but this time he would be more prepared and seek professional guidance. As the hours ticked by, David waited for animal control, hoping they could offer some insight or assistance. He glanced periodically at the airshaft, its dark opening a silent challenge. The anticipation of their arrival was tinged with a mix of hope and anxiety. What if they too were unable to solve the mystery? The waiting was a slow burn, each passing minute amplifying his desire for answers. The arrival of the animal control officers broke the anxious silence. They approached David's house with a professional air, yet their expressions showed a mix of intrigue and skepticism. David led them to the airshaft, explaining the situation. The officers exchanged glances, their curiosity piqued by the unusual nature of the call. They prepared to assess the scene, ready to unravel the mystery that had so deeply perplexed David. David recounted his story to the officers, his voice tinged with a mix of excitement and frustration. He described the peculiar noises, his venture into the airshaft, and the strange findings within. The officers listened attentively, their expressions shifting from skepticism to consideration. David's detailed account of the mysterious sounds and his subsequent discoveries laid the groundwork for the investigation that was about to unfold. The animal control officers, drawing on their experience, provided insights that shed new light on the situation. They discussed various possibilities that could explain the strange occurrences, from displaced wildlife to more unusual scenarios. Their professional perspective added a new dimension to the puzzle, suggesting that the solution might be more complex than David had initially thought. Despite their initial skepticism, the officers were visibly intrigued by David's account. The uniqueness of the case was undeniable, and they couldn't help but be drawn in by the mystery. They agreed that the situation warranted further investigation, their curiosity now intermingled with a sense of duty. The decision was made to delve deeper into the airshaft, uncovering its secrets piece by piece. Working in unison, David and the animal control officers began the careful process of disassembling the airshaft. Each section they removed revealed more of the shaft's interior, the tension mounting with every piece. The task was meticulous and time-consuming, but necessary. As they progressed, the anticipation grew. Each layer stripped away brought them closer to whatever was hidden inside, the mystery slowly unraveling before their eyes. With each piece they removed, the airshaft slowly gave up its secrets. The deeper they delved, the more the mystery deepened. David and the officers worked with a growing sense of urgency, driven by the escalating suspense. The once hidden interior of the shaft was now exposed, revealing a world unseen for years. Each new revelation added to the anticipation, drawing them closer to the heart of the enigma. As they removed a significant section of the shaft, a sudden movement caught their attention. Peering into the newly revealed space, they saw a faint outline stirring in the darkness. The sight sent a ripple of excitement through David. What had been mere sounds and speculation was now taking shape, transforming the unknown into something tangible and imminent. The dim light from David's flashlight cast eerie shadows, revealing shapes that moved subtly within the confines of the shaft. Each movement added to the suspense, hinting at the presence of something alive, something that had been dwelling unnoticed in David's home. The shifting shadows danced on the walls of the shaft, each movement deepening the mystery. With a mixture of trepidation and curiosity, they uncovered a hidden nook within the airshaft. From this concealed space, the source of the mysterious sounds became clearer and more distinct. The noises, which had once been distant and muffled, now filled the air around them, indicating that they were on the brink of a significant discovery. As they cautiously examined the nook, David's heart pounded with anticipation. Suddenly, they glimpsed something unexpected, a thin, hairy tail that gently moved in the confined space. The sight was startling, setting off a flurry of possibilities in David's mind. What creature could be residing in this hidden corner of his home? The mystery that had begun with mere sounds was about to be revealed. As they peered into the nook, the mystery unraveling before their eyes was heartwarming. Nestled in a makeshift nest, a litter of tiny kittens lay huddled together, their eyes barely open. The source of the mysterious noises was revealed. Not a sinister presence, but the gentle, innocent mewing of newborn kittens. The realization brought a smile to David's face, replacing his earlier apprehension with a sense of wonder and warmth. The soft mewing of the kittens filled the air, a soothing sound that explained the strange noises that had puzzled David. The kittens looked up with curious eyes, unaware of the intrigue they had caused. Each mew was a note in the symphony of sounds that had emanated from the shaft, a melody that had captivated David's attention and led to this tender discovery. The animal control officers concluded that the kittens were likely born to a stray mother cat who had sought refuge in the airshaft. This hidden space had become a sanctuary, sheltering the feline family from the outside world. It was a maternal instinct to protect and nurture that had brought them here, turning the airshaft into a cradle of life amidst the brick and mortar. The presence of the innocent kittens transformed the airshaft from a place of mystery to one of life and hope. David felt a surge of relief and joy at the sight of the tiny creatures. They were a reminder of the unexpected beauty and wonder that can be found in the most unanticipated places. Their discovery turned a tale of curiosity into one of life's simple joys. Together, David and the animal control officers gently and carefully retrieved the kittens from their hidden nest. Each kitten was delicately lifted and placed into a safe container, ready to be transported to a place where they would be cared for and nurtured. David watched, a sense of accomplishment filling him as he played a part in rescuing these new lives and ensuring their well-being. The animal control officers praised David for his determination and attentiveness. Their professional examination confirmed the kittens were healthy, albeit a bit undernourished. David watched with a sense of pride as the officers gently handled each kitten, grateful for their expertise. His actions, once driven by curiosity, had led to the safe recovery of these vulnerable creatures, earning him the officers' respect and appreciation. Motivated to ensure the well-being of the kittens, David reached out to his community for assistance. He contacted neighbours, local shelters, and posted on community boards seeking support for the kittens. His efforts were met with enthusiasm as people in his neighbourhood and beyond showed a willingness to help. David's initiative sparked a community-wide movement to aid the little lives he had saved. In the interim, David decided to become a foster parent for the kittens. He prepared a cozy corner in his home, complete with warm blankets, food, and toys. Watching them play and explore their new environment filled him with a sense of accomplishment and joy. David's home, once quiet and uneventful, was now filled with the playful energy of his temporary furry residence. David initiated a campaign to find permanent, loving homes for each of the kittens. He organised adoption drives, posted photos and stories online, and collaborated with local pet adoption agencies. His commitment to the kittens' future was unwavering. He wanted to ensure that each one would find a family that would provide love, care, and a lifetime of happiness. The story of the airshaft kittens resonated throughout the community, creating a wave of support and goodwill. People from all walks of life came forward to donate supplies, volunteer, and even adopt. The community's response was heartwarming, turning the kitten's tale into a testament to kindness and unity. David's discovery had inadvertently brought his neighbourhood together, fostering a sense of community spirit and cooperation. The town's response to the kitten's story was overwhelmingly positive. Neighbours and strangers alike offered food, bedding, and toys, their generosity a testament to the community's spirit. Several families expressed their interest in adopting the kittens, touched by their story and eager to provide a loving home. David was moved by the outpouring of support, grateful for every contribution that ensured the kittens' well-being. One by one, the kittens found their forever homes. Each adoption was a joyous occasion, marked by smiles and tears of happiness. The families were carefully chosen, ensuring that each kitten would be loved and cared for. David felt a sense of accomplishment as he watched them leave with their new families, knowing he had played a part in securing their happy futures. Among the litter, one particular kitten had captured David's heart. This kitten, with its playful antics and affectionate demeanour, formed a special bond with him. After careful consideration, David decided to adopt it, making the kitten a permanent member of his family. The connection they shared was undeniable, a bond forged through the shared experience of discovery and care. The resolution of the airshaft mystery and the adoption of the kitten brought a newfound sense of joy and companionship to David's life. His home, once quiet and routine, was now filled with the lively presence of his furry companion. The kitten's playful energy and affectionate purrs were a constant source of happiness, transforming his life in ways he never expected. David's home had evolved from a place of solitude into a haven for the unexpected. The experience with the kittens had changed him, opening his heart and home to new possibilities. His house, which had once echoed with mysterious noises, now resonated with the sounds of life and love. It had become a sanctuary, Not just for him, but for the little creature that had wandered into his life, turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. Sitting in his living room, David pondered over the extraordinary journey he had embarked upon. What had started as a quest to solve a simple mystery transformed into an adventure that changed his life. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the unexpected turns that led to new beginnings. Looking at his playful kitten, he was reminded of how small curiosities can lead to significant changes. The entire experience had taught David invaluable lessons about kindness, compassion, and the power of community. He realized how a small act of curiosity and care had the potential to bring people together and create bonds of kindness. The outpouring of support from his community had not only helped the kittens, but had also strengthened his belief in the goodness of people. David learned to embrace the unexpected with open arms. He now saw beauty in life's surprises and the mysteries that lurk around every corner. The adventure in the airshaft, which began with apprehension, had unfolded into a beautiful story of discovery and compassion. It had taught him to appreciate the unknown and find joy in the unforeseen. With the airshaft mystery resolved and a new companion by his side, David looked forward to the new chapter in his life. His home, once a quiet place, was now filled with the warmth and energy of his furry friend. He felt excited about the future, eager to make new memories and experience the joys of companionship and care. The story concludes with David, enriched by his unique experiences, ready for new adventures. Whether it's solving mysteries in his home or exploring the world outside, he felt prepared for whatever life had in store. The journey with the kittens had opened his heart to the wonders around him, turning everyday life into an ongoing adventure filled with love, learning, and the joy of the unexpected.